Hello, this is vlog number 8 for AP Seminar. And so this week I want to first talk about Monday is when we had our block schedulers and where we had our debate and you introduced our new unit. So we had our new unit introduced, which was social media. And the topic of the debate was how social media makes us a better global citizen. Now, me personally, when I first heard this question, I'm like, oh, there's trade-offs, obviously, right? You have the positives, you have the negatives, and I want to talk about the positives first. So since I wasn't able to argue my point because I was a judge, the first point that I would say social media helps us make us a little bit better citizens is the communities of digital networks that we have, right? One good example I want to give is the Arab Spring movement in 2010. Egypt had its own whole revolution against its government through Facebook. Okay, like they had this massive rally and they took down the repressive government because of the network they had on Facebook, which was organized. I find that to be very mind blowing, on how a group of people were able to agree on a consensus and were able to fight for their rights using social media, which caused actual change, not some, fake putting it on your story on Instagram for publicity kind of ordeal. And then there's the negatives, obviously. People spend too much time on it, people are hooked, and then this whole thing about cancel culture, where if you possess an opinion other than the majority, you're more likely to get canceled than not. And while I was hearing the debate, there was so much I wanted to add in, but since I was an adjudicator, I had to remain kind of unbiased, right? Which I found to be the hard part because I'm very biased towards that topic, because obviously you can't just argue for one side. There's two sides, and you have to give the pros and cons of each side, because things like social media are in the gray area, right? There's always trade-offs. There's not one definitive answer saying, oh yeah, this is good, or oh yeah, that's bad. So that's one. And then to move on is the TED Talk that we watched on Tuesday, I think. I don't remember. Which kind of really opened your eyes, because as a computer science student, I know that these algorithms are just a bunch of if else statements which are curated to keep feeding you more of what you watch, right? And that's the trick to getting users hooked. And whoever came up with this is a smart, brilliant man. At its core, it's just a computer algorithm, right? It is so efficient and effective, but at the same point, it's gonna be ultimately the downfall of mankind if nothing seriously done about it, right? Because there's people who spend like 13 hours a day on just Instagram itself, uh, just scrolling through the reels or whatnot, just because of the algorithm so dang good, right? And then while watching the TED Talk, I was kind of very keen on just dropping my Instagram. Might as well, after I'm done with this vlog, I might just go uninstall my Instagram right now, right? And what really opened my eyes in that TED Talk was how people have preconceived notions that if you don't have social media, you're unsocial. You can't. You're missing out on world events. You're not up to date. You're not current. You know, and there was this thing called the fear of missing out. Right? You're missing out on important things. And to be fair, my life before social media, because I've had it for like a year now, a little more than a year. I was pretty up to date with everything. I watched the news now, not so much, and I feel like social media, like having social media itself, is kind of slowing us down as a society. And that's like probably one of my favorite TED Talks I've ever watched, because it mainly focuses on social media in like a more sciencey way, because it talks about the algorithm and how the different effects of it. As a matter of fact, in our AP Computer Science Principles class, we talked about social media and that very algorithm that was designed to kind of get users hooked. And then we had the debate about social media on Friday. And then we talked about Facebook, how it was first introduced as a community where people could have opinions on anything, right? And then compared to what's now become what it is, and how it's completely changed in its meaning. Because back then you could have an opinion about anything you wanted, right? And then no one's gonna come down and say, "Oh, you're wrong," and then they're gonna end up canceling you. That's not how it works. And then nowadays, I remember very vividly when Florida passed law that banned AP psychology, right? I think I talked about this to you on Friday or whatnot, right? And then I had a different view on the matter compared to some of my peers did. And then when I went to express my opinion, I was flamed at. People were saying I'm wrong, my opinion was invalid, I was dumb in some cases, right? Which just goes to show when you disagree with something nowadays, you're gonna be penalized for it. And not just like any way, you will be tracked down. And then I had to ultimately take it down. But in the end, that's just not what social media is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place where you can project your opinions, no matter what they are, and not get flamed for it, right? And then one of our peers mentioned how we would like not how in class if we discussed our political opinions, it would be like a much more cohesive discussion as to if I was to express my political opinions on Instagram, right? And personally, I find that to be very true. In a class, if we're expressing our political opinions, we will have a civilized conversation, and no one's gonna get bullied for it. And if I were to express my political opinions right now, it would kind of get me. I would be flamed for it. And in the end, it was a good discussion, a good debate, properly moderated, and I'm pretty happy about it. And now the next thing I'm looking forward to is all those articles we analyzed and how we're gonna continue doing those. And some of those articles are really really lengthy, and that's something I gotta get used to. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, nothing much eventful going on this week. A big week coming ahead. You know, essay for Handmaid's Tale. Then what else? PSAT, Metro swim meet. It's just gonna be a heavy week next week. So this coming week, and yeah, it's gonna be an eventful week. Hopefully everything goes all right. And then gotta get started with that seminar project soon, or like the kind of like the official mock soon. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Look forward to a great week ahead. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you. Have a good one.